What's up, boys and girls? This is Spit Logic, and today I just want to make a quick video just to talk about my impressions of the SP404 MK2. I've had it for about a week and a half, just playing with it, and I just want to give my impressions on it after waiting for quite some time for this device to come in. So for me, just for a little bit of background, I am a beat maker, but I've only used DAWs, specifically through Ableton Live, Fruity Loops, moved on to GarageBand, and then into Logic. And I've pretty much stayed with Logic. I've used a few plugins. I've used Machine for as a plugin, but primarily, mainly, almost exclusively, all my beat making has come from using DAWs. I've utilized my turntables in some of the beat making, but it's all been on DAWs. And really before I found the SP404, I was looking for something that was kind of self-contained. I had always been looking at just some self-contained synthesizers and keyboards, but I really wanted something that was portable, something that was mobile, something where I could just pull it out and just use it to make beats. And also, you know, I'm a pretty old school kind of guy. I still use a lot of vinyl when I deal with turntablism, and I know that the origins of beat making were not done on computers. It was done through more analog means, and I wanted to kind of get to the roots of that, because I've always felt that like the best beat makers have always used those kinetic instruments, those kinetic keys. You know, specifically you talk about the MPC, that is kind of the standard when it comes to using beat machines. And I wanted to find something that was small, that was portable, and something that I could, you know, venture into getting into actual beat making. So how do I feel about the MK2? I don't know why I haven't been doing this my entire life. This device is probably the pinnacle of blending the classic traditional way of beat making and utilizing just enough of current digital crossover, whereas not to take away from the essence of what beat making is about. I love this device. I can't keep my hands off of it. And right now I'm at a weird point because I've never owned a beat making machine. I didn't know the workflow associated with the MK2. Before I got it, I did watch a lot of videos on basic instruction, and maybe it was all the video watching that I made, but then also maybe just some of the things that I've done on the DAW side. But I was quickly able to acclimate to it. I was able to understand it. And for me, sometimes when you talk about how something is created, how an artist creates something, anything, a movie, a painting, sometimes it's about the process. And that is what is most appealing about this MK2. The process of actually obtaining the samples, putting it into the machine, and then manipulating the samples, whether you're cutting them, whether you're chopping a sample into something else, manipulating it with some of the effects, where you're receiving those sources from. Some people like to use straight up acoustic instruments. Some people, like myself, I'm a crate digger, so I like to use the vinyl that I collect. The process itself just makes it something that you just find yourself completely engrossed in. I try to spend every moment that I can to play with this thing and to play with the music that I've made already. I've made maybe about 3 beats off of this that I would consider complete beats off of this in the last week. And that's because I've just been in it. I've just been in there the entire time. I love this device, and I'm not sure why I have not, well, I am pretty sure. A lot of the reason why I have not really engrossed myself into beat making machines is it's two reasons really, and I think this comes down to most people. Number one, the costs. A lot of beat making machines have a pretty hefty price tag if you're just a regular person. You know, if you're not a careerist, if you don't make money, disposable income, you're really going to have to save up for that. And sometimes there are some things that are a little bit more important, especially when you're into hip hop, you know. So for myself, I'm into three different things. I'm a beat maker, I'm a turntablist, and I MC. So I rap too. So I have to spread the wealth on what I spend my money on, and I have to ensure that I make that kind of balance. The price point for this thing, $4.99, this is a great price for such a very powerful machine. I don't know why Roland made it so cheap. So it wasn't a huge expense, but certainly it was kind of a significant expense for me in order to purchase something like this. I think the other part of it is when you talk about beat machines, it's the same thing with kind of using actual vinyl as opposed to using one of those disc mixers. It can be a little bit intimidating. And for me, that was number one. I didn't know that if I bought this, if I would be able to learn how to make beats on an actual beat machine. You see a lot of people do it. They make it look flawless. I think my first kind of venture into it, I bought a machine, MKII Micro, as a pad sync, and just kind of use that menu on there to kind of get a feel for how the beat making process was done. But nothing compares to actually having this device. And I would highly recommend, if you are into beat making, if you use DAWs, try to venture into the more kinetic, the more actual solid, more solid kind of beat making machines. So the MKII itself is such a powerful and diverse instrument. I'm going to call it an instrument because you can create so many things with it. It acts as a sampler. You can sample with it, but really the most powerful features on it is, number one, the effects. So the way that these effects are placed in here, and the way it manipulates the audio is unlike anything that you get on a DAW. You can rack and stack and put effects down in the DAW, and it's very digitized, it's very exact, it's very left and right limit on exactly what that effect does. Here on this particular machine, just the way the things that you can manipulate, the nuance that's involved, and just using knobs instead of clicking things in order to manipulate how something sounds, it just has a more organic feel to it. I love that about the MKII, just a very powerful thing. I would say again, another thing about it, when you're dealing with the pads itself for finger drumming and, you know, using samples and timing, it just has a more organic feel to it, and it gets you used to using rhythm on your own as opposed to relying on quantization from your DAW. You can set quantization to 100%, but you can also kind of manipulate it to give it a more organic feel. And I'm telling you, something about the beats that I make here, something about the drums that I use on here, and it's the same kind of samples that I use on my DAW, but they just sound and they feel different. They just have a more, I don't know what to call it. It just has a more, I don't know if warm is the right word. It has a warmer feel, but it certainly feels more organic. It feels more like a drummer that is actually being sampled as opposed to just listening to drums on a pad. You know, I'm a beginner in this. I certainly plan on continuing to use the MKII probably in perpetuity. I think what's also great about what Roland has done is they're continually updating it. So even though this is a great device, even though this is damn near perfect as it is, it looks like they're still innovating. They're listening to a lot of customer feedback on what they want to see. And they are also making these updates to clear out some of the bugs and adding more effects to it. As of this video, we're on firmware version 2.0, and there's just this slew of different effects that have been added and different features on here that's been added too. So I am still in the very beginning stages. I just know how to make a bunch of patterns. I know how to chop a beat or chop a sample. I know how to create patterns and layer things out, delete and resample. But that is just scratching the surface from everything that I've seen. There's a DJ mode on this thing. I mean, this is for $500 to get all this. It's amazing that Roland decided to create such a diverse instrument, and I can't wait to see what the next updates are going to look like. I can't wait to learn more about this device and what it can do to help me in my beat making journey. Anyway, that's all I got. I just wanted to share my thoughts on here. If you have an MKII, sound off, let me know. And until next time, peace.